Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Shamaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sharvakayeshu Sharvada Saraswate Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Mishada. Suklam Bharadaram Vishnu Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyayet Sharva Vigno Pashantaye. Salutation to Lord Hanuman, who is present wherever or whenever the names of Lord Rama is being chanted, or wherever and whenever Ramayana is being read. Yatra yatra Raghunama Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Krishna Mastakanjalim Bashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutihim Namatta Raksha Shantakam. Pujantam Ramarameti Maduram Maduraksharam Aruya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam. So Jai Sri Ram to everybody. We are in session 29th session of the Srimad Valmiki Ramayanam, and we are in Yuddha Kandam, which is book number 6 of Srimad Valmiki Ramayanam. So before we go into session 29, the 29th session, we are going to cover Yuddha Kandam from chapter 80 to chapter 92, which will relate to Indrajit Vadam. Okay, so before we go into this session, 29th session, let's look at what we have covered in our previous session. So remember in the previous session, after Ravana was defeated by Rama during the first round of the battle. So you remember in chapter 59, which is quite a long chapter in Yuddha Kandam, there was a war, battle between Rama and Ravana. So at the end of the battle, Ravana was defeated. Ravana was defeated and Rama told Ravana to go and take a rest and come back tomorrow. You are tired, Ravana. You have fought very well today. So it's better for you to go home, take a rest, and then come back tomorrow. Okay, in Kamba Ramayana, you have that famous verse, Intru poi nalai va. Today you go, you come back tomorrow. So when Ravana was dejected, so at that particular moment, he thought of his brother called Kumbhakarna. So Ravana sent the Rakshasa to wake up Kumbhakarna. Waking up of Kumbhakarna was beautifully elaborated by Valmiki, and you will also find it in Kamba Ramayana and other versions of Ramayana. What did he do in order to wake up Kumbhakarna? So, and then of course, we learned that Kumbhakarna, in woken, he had to eat a lot and he had to drink a lot. And then he goes into the abode of Ravana. And then, of course, he will advise Ravana, you did not listen to what I have said. In fact, if you recall, in the assembly that Ravana had, Kumbhakarna was not in favor of Ravana abducting Sita. And he said, you should have thought about it before. This assembly should have been called before you made a decision to abduct Sita. But yet Kumbhakarna reassured Ravana. Okay, and of course Kumbhakarna entered into the battlefield. So in battlefield, Kumbhakarna created a havoc. All the Vanaras were running away. Angada reassured the Vanaras. So what happened? Kumbhakarna, okay, fought with many Vanaras, and he even caught Sugriva and about to take Sugriva to Lanka. At that time, of course, Hanuman was thinking what I should do. Should I go and rescue Sugriva? So if I rescue Sugriva, what is going to happen to Sugriva's reputation? So he waited for a while until Sugriva, okay, got back his consciousness, and then he bite the ears and nose of Kumbhakarna and returned to where the Vanaras were. And of course, we learn Kumbhakarna was slain in a battle by Rama. Okay, and after the death of Kumbhakarna, Ravana grieves death of his brother Kumbhakarna, and he sent other Vanaras, not other Vanaras, other demons. Some of the demons includes Narantaka, Devantaka, Trishara, and then Adhikaya. All were sent in order to fight with what they call the Vanaras and also Rama and Lakshmana. And we learned that Hanuman killed Trishara, Lakshmana killed Adhikaya. Adhikaya is a great warrior, managed to be killed by Lakshmana. And of course, Ravana also grieved the death of Adhikaya. Adhikaya is one of his sons through Danyamalini. Okay. Then, of course, we have the Indrajit, okay, enters into the battlefield, and he released astras after astras, several astras. Even Rama and Lakshmana fell unconscious. The entire army of the Vanaras fell unconscious. Indrajit thought he has won over the Vanaras, and then he returned and reported to Ravana. Okay, but what happened? Vibhishana and Hanuman was unhurt. So when Vibhishana and Hanuman was going around, they met Jambavan, who first requested, is Hanuman alive? Jambavan did not ask the others whether they are alive or not. So of course, we will be looking at briefly later on, why did they ask that? And then Hanuman was requested to go to the Himalayas in order to get the herbs, the Sanjeevi Karna, Kakakarni, Vishalakarani, all that herbs. So when Hanuman came, just by smelling the herbs, all the Vanaras have got back their energy in order to fight, resume the battle. And of course, Sugriva will kill Kumbha. Kumbha is a son of Kumbhakarna who enters into the battlefield. Okay, then you have another brother of the other brother of Kumbha, that is Nikumba, also enters into the battlefield. And then Ravana will order Makaraksha. Makaraksha is the son of Kara that you learn in Aranyakanda, who was killed by Rama together with the 14,000 Rakshasas. And Makaraksha challenged Rama, and Rama defeated Makaraksha. So that was 20 chapters we learn in session 28. So in session 28, we also learn about the list of the curse that the Ravana received. So that was something that was reflected by Ravana in chapter 60. What are the curses that was given to him by Parvati, by Nandi, by Anaranyan, by Vedavati, by Ramba, Nalakubera, and also Punjikasthala. So some of these curses I have gone through with you in detail during the last session. And again, I want to look at this particular incident when Kumbhakarna entered into the battlefield. Angada reassured the Vanaras who were all running away, looking into the huge size of Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna is creating a havoc. The movement of Kumbhakarna is he is able to kill many Vanaras. So Sugriva went and challenged Kumbhakarna. So Kumbhakarna and Sugriva fought. So Sugriva was defeated by Kumbhakarna. Sugriva became unconscious. So Kumbhakarna walked towards where Sugriva had fallen and then took Sugriva towards Lanka. Because he knew that if Sugriva is out of the way, the morale of the Vanaras, when the leader has been caught, the army will be demoralized. So when he was moving towards Lanka, at that particular moment of time, Hanuman was reflecting, what should I do now? I can assume gigantic proportion through my supernatural power and kill Kumbhakarna and rescue Sugriva. But Sugriva's reputation will suffer. Okay, he may not like being rescued by me. So he has to decide. Something like sometimes in an organization we decide whether we want to do something, whether the boss will be happy or not with the decision that you have made. So sometimes they might not like it, just like Sugriva. So Hanuman thought Sugriva might not like it to be rescued by him because he is the leader of the Vanara. So let's wait for a moment to see the development before I make a decision. Sometimes the decision making at that time, you need to decide quickly. Okay, so Kumbhakarna was carrying Sugriva in his armpit towards Lanka, and they were all giving what they call waters being what they call dropped at Kumbhakarna. Then at that particular moment of time, Sugriva came back. He got back his consciousness. Then he bite Kumbhakarna's ear and nose, and he moved towards the Vanara. So Kumbhakarna was not able to carry Sugriva towards Lanka. Okay, so Sugriva managed to what they call release himself. So, and then another incident where we learned the last session is in chapter 74 when Indrajit entered into the battlefield. So Indrajit, he killed, Valmiki reports that he killed in a single day 6,700,000 Vanaras. But all these Vanaras resumed, they have got back, they became alive because of Sanjeevi that was brought by Hanuman. Okay, so Vibhishana at that particular moment, Vibhishana and Hanuman went around the battlefield and they saw Jambavan. And Vibhishana questioned him, "Oh mighty one, are you alive? Oh Jambavan, how do you feel?" And Jambavan replied, "I cannot see, but from your voice, I believe you are Vibhishana. Please tell me, is Hanuman still alive?" And Vibhishana asked, "Why do you ask about Hanuman before you inquire about Rama and Lakshmana?" Jambavan replied, "For a good reason, O Vibhishana, if Hanuman is alive, then all our survival is possible." And Hanuman himself spoke to Jambavan. So here it notice Jambavan is someone, if we learn in Kishkindakanda, at the end of Kishkindakanda, not only someone who is able to motivate, who is able to energize Hanuman, who is able to know the strength of Hanuman, somebody who's able to remind Hanuman of his ability, but he also knows here who is good in what. So that's why we need to look into in talent management. If you look into a leader, must be able to identify what are the strengths and weaknesses of the people. In this area, you look into, Jambavan did not ask for even Rama, Lakshmana, even Sugriva. He immediately asked, "Is Hanuman alive? If Hanuman is alive, he will all will be able to survive." Then, of course, he requested Hanuman, "You proceed to the mountain covered with ice. But in Rishabha and Kailasa mountain, you see blazing mountain of herbs. You will find Mrita Sanjeevini, Vishala Karani, Suvarna Karani, and Sanandana Karani, which heals all the disease and also all the injuries. Bring these with greatest expectation." And then, of course, we learn that Hanuman moved in no time. He moved towards the mountain. He was not able to identify the herbs. So what he did, he uprooted the entire mountain, the whole hill he took and he carried away. And soon he reached Lanka. Upon reaching Lanka, what happened is that nearly inhaling the air from the hill of herbs, Rama, Lakshmana, and millions of wounded Vanaras were restored to their perfect health. But what happened to the demons? Ravana decided them to be thrown into the ocean so that the casualties might not be known. So demons were, those killed remains as it is. No changes to the demons, but the Vanaras able to regain, okay, their health and also their life. So Hanuman then returned the hill to the original site. So you have to return where you have taken. Okay. He took from the Himalayas and he went to return back to Himalayas. Okay. In this session, 29th session, we are going to look at chapters 80 to 92. Okay, chapter 80 to 92. So when Makaraksha was defeated by Rama, was slain by Rama, that was in chapter 79. Okay, Ravana instructed Indrajit again. So he told Indrajit, you are my only hope, my son, Indrajit. So he instructed Indrajit to enter the battlefield again. So Indrajit went into the battlefield and he made a illusory image of Sita. And of course, in front of Hanuman and the Vanaras, he killed that illusionary Sita. And Hanuman was stunned. Then he ran towards Rama, Lakshmana. Then he reported what had happened. But Vibhishana revealed the secret about Indrajit. What he did not kill the real Sita. It was just an imaginary Sita. Then, of course, Rama will send Lakshmana to kill Indrajit. When Vibhishana will tell Indrajit is about to perform a yagya at Nikumbila, he need to go and distract the yagya. As long as he has yet to do the yagya, Indrajit can be slain in a battle. But once Indrajit completes the yagya at Nikumbila, he will not be defeated by anybody. That was a boon given to him by Brahma. Okay, so Rama sends Lakshmana. Then Indrajit, unable to complete the yagya, enters into the battlefield to meet the what they call Lakshmana. And then Indrajit spoke harsh words to Vibhishana. Okay, there was a dialogue between Vibhishana and also Indrajit about Dharma. Briefly about Dharma was mentioned about Vibhishana and also Indrajit. Then a fierce battle starts between Lakshmana and Indrajit. And finally, in chapter 90, Indrajit will be slain by Lakshmana. Lakshmana used Indrastra to kill Indrajit. And of course, after that, 91, Lakshmana and others were treated by Sushena. Sushena is the Vaidya, that is the doctor. Okay. And Ravana, of course, felt distress over the death of his son, Indrajit. He thought Indrajit is somebody cannot be defeated by anybody. Okay, but at the end, Indrajit was conquered by Lakshmana. Later in this session, I'm going to provide some details about Indrajit or Meghanada. Okay, he was born as Meghanada. When he conquered Indra, he became to be known as Indrajit. Okay, now in chapter 80, Ravana was beside himself with anger. He was angry. How is it possible for Rama, a mere mortal, who managed to kill all the great demons, powerful demons, including Kumbhakarna? So he looked at his son, Indrajit, and said, my beloved son, by your might, you have conquered the king of heaven, Indra. It is difficult for you. Is it difficult for you to kill these two humans in battle? Go and by whatever means kill them. And of course, Indrajit performed religious rites connected to war for his success. And once he has concluded, he ascended his aircraft, his chariot, and which could go out of sight, which can be invisible. He took with him the missile dedicated to Creator, Brahma himself. As soon as he emerged from the city, he became invisible. From high above in the sky, he directed his fire to Rama and Lakshmana. However, though they directed their fire at the demon, the remaining unseen, he remained unseen in the sky. They could not reach him. They are not able to see where Indrajit is located. The demon, Indrajit, effectively hidden himself behind a smoke screen. Though he moved constantly, he could neither be seen nor his aircraft or chariot heard. So Indrajit continued to score direct hits on Rama and Lakshmana. And once Rama missile scored a direct hit on Indrajit too. And seeing this, Lakshmana said to Rama, I shall direct the missile presided over by the creator and his demon. Lakshmana wanted to use Brahmastra. And he told Rama, I cannot see what else can we do at this juncture. But Rama did not approve the action. He did not want Lakshmana to use Brahmastra at this moment. Rama said, you cannot kill all the demons for the sake of one, O Lakshmana. You should not kill in battle. Who are those who should not be killed in a battle? One who does not fight, one who is hidden, one who comes to you with joined palms, one who seeks asylum, one who is running away, one who is dazed. Okay, he said, I shall deal with him with a single powerful missile. So Rama did not approve Lakshmana using Brahmastra. But of course, you learn in Ramayana many times, Rama himself used Brahmastra. Many incidents where he used Brahmastra. Even in a case of the crow, Kakasura, he took the blade of grass and invoked Brahmastra. Indrajit returned to Lanka. He came back to battlefield, but this time with Sita, exact replica of Sita, of real Sita by his magic. He created through his magic. Just like earlier, we learned that Ravana also created a magic Rama and then head of Rama and then shown to Sita. Earlier chapters we learn about that. Okay. Now, when Indrajit produced Sita, the Vanaras rushed towards him in great anger when they saw him, and Hanuman saw him too. He saw Sita seated in a car, a picture of grief. While the Vanaras were looking, Indrajit drew his sword and caught hold of the hair of Sita's head. She wailed, O Rama, O Rama. Hanuman upbraided Indrajit and admonished him. This is indeed the worst of all sins, O demon. You are descended from Brahmana sages, lineage of Pulastya. Hence, you exhibit this unworthy trait. Killing of a woman is universally condemned. But Indrajit replied, how true, O Vanara, but in war, one can do whatever might annoy the enemy. It is for her sake that you all have invaded Lanka. I shall quaff your purpose by killing her. So what Indrajit did, he cut the body of Sita into two as the Vanaras were watching, and Indrajit was happy and Vanaras were grief-stricken. Then the Vanaras began to flee when they saw Indrajit. Hanuman tried to restore their morale. Under his leadership, they began to fight with demons again. He himself took a huge rock and threw it upon the vehicle of Indrajit, but the driver cleverly avoided it. The rock hit the ground and made a big hole in it. Fierce fighting ensued between the Vanaras and the demon. After some time, Hanuman commanded the Vanara army to retreat, tearfully saying, Sita, for whose recovery we are fighting, is dead. We should report this to Rama and to Sugriva and do as they decide. And they all did so. And at the same time, what Indrajit did, he decided to perform another important religious ceremony for attaining even greater power in war. He headed for a place known as Nikumbila. So at that time, Rama sent Jambavan to help Hanuman in his combat with the demons. But Jambavan saw Hanuman himself coming to where Rama was, with a face portraying sorrow. Hanuman approached Rama and said, Oh Rama, even as we were looking on and fighting, Indrajit killed the noble Sita. And hearing this, Rama felt unconscious. Seeing this, Lakshmana also broke down and wailed aloud. So he said, there's a very beautiful detail about Dharma, one who follows Dharma, what is happening. If you are able to read this chapter about Lakshmana's wailing, about on what Lakshmana mentioned to Rama, chapter 83, a lot of things about Dharma, why sometimes people who follow Dharma, they don't get what they want. All that is very beautifully described in this particular chapter. So seeing this, Lakshmana broke down and wailed aloud, "Oh Rama, if this could happen to you, surely there is no truth in belief that happiness follow virtue." We see that the wicked Ravana prospers, whereas you who have adhered to virtue all your life have experienced nothing but unhappiness. It may be said that virtue needs protection of strength for attainment of its own reward, which is happiness. Then it is weak and one. Then it is weak and one should shun weakness, resort to might. This is what Lakshmana is saying. Lakshmana is saying all this while we are showing we are not strong enough. Lakshmana continued, by renouncing your rights. Lakshmana, from day one, he was not happy with Rama renouncing his right to the kingdom. See, if you look at in Ayodhya Kanda, he was against Rama renouncing the kingdom. He wanted any means, even to, he didn't care about his own father, Dasaratha. He only wants Rama to take as the next king. So Lakshmana continued, by renouncing your rights to the throne, you have renounced your strength. He further says, in this world, only a wealthy man has friends and relations. He alone is considered a man, a pandit, a hero, intelligent, blessed, and virtuous. Even dharma and enjoyment are possible only to him. All pay homage to him because you have renounced wealth and because you went to forest to honor your father's word, your wife have been abducted. Ah, Rama, get up. Why do you not know that you are the supreme being? I have been saying all this only to rouse your anger. However, I shall myself presently destroy all the demons. So if you want to learn more about the conversation, but in this chapter you look at a lot of wisdom, actually practical wisdom came from the mouth of Lakshmana. What I have provided here is just a summary of that. More detail is there if you read chapter 83 of Yuddha of Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. The next chapter, just then, as they were conversing, Rama and Lakshmana, Lakshmana telling Rama, Vibhishana came, and Lakshmana told what happened, what has happened to Rama. And Vibhishana then said to Rama, "Oh Rama, I know Ravana's intention about Sita. He would never let her be killed. And this surely a trick by Indrajit, who is very good in magic. However, he is about to perform a great religious rite. If he concludes it, he will be more powerful. Please send Lakshmana with me, and we shall do the needful at once." So Vibhishana given some hope for Rama, saying that Sita would not have been killed. There's no way that Ravana will let Sita to be killed. What was done by Indrajit was a replica of Sita, an image of Sita that was killed by Indrajit, not the real Sita. So he consoled Rama, and still dazed with the news of Sita's end, Rama did not clearly comprehend Vibhishana's word, and he asked him to repeat that. And Vibhishana added, Indrajit is about to perform a dreadful rite at a place called Nikumbila. If he completes this, he will obtain a terrible weapon known as Brahmasira. And if he gets this, we are all as good as dead. When Indrajit requested for immortality from Brahma, so Brahma actually came to request Indrajit to release Indra. Indrajit born Indra. He born Indra. Indra in the beginning born Ravana. And then Indrajit came to rescue Ravana from Indra. And then he bound Indra, wanted to take him back to Lanka as a prisoner. Then Brahma appeared. So he requested Indrajit to release Indra. And Indrajit asked for a boon. He wanted immortality, but he said, no, it's not possible. So he requested a boon. So he was given this particular boon as long as if he has completed his yajna at Nikumbila and he comes back after his performance of rites, then he will be invisible. It will be difficult for anybody to defeat him. He can defeat anybody. That was a boon given to him. So he will obtain a terrible weapon known as Brahmasira. If he gets this, Vibhishana is telling Rama, we are all as good as dead. I'm aware of the boon he got from Brahma, the creator. It was this. If before you reach Nikumbila and before you complete the rite, someone is able to kill you, that will be your end. That means the boon from Brahma is that he reach Nikumbila, completes the yajna. After completion of the yajna, of the sacrifice, then he goes to the battle. Nobody will be able to defeat him. Okay. So Vibhishana is telling Rama, surely it is a time, and now alone is a time to put an end to Indrajit. And Vibhishana is saying that if Indrajit is dead, Ravana is as good as dead too. There is no time to lose. Let Lakshmana, accompanied by army, proceed immediately to Nikumbila and he will be able to kill Indrajit. Then Rama replied, O Lakshmana, go at once with the entire army and with all Vanara heroes. You can easily kill him in battle. Vibhishana will accompany you, and he knows all the tricks of Indrajit. And Lakshmana declared, I shall kill that terrible demon with my missile today. Hanuman, an army of Vanaras and Vibhishana with its companion went with him. So they went towards where Indrajit was. When Indrajit is about to perform his what he call sacrifice. So Vibhishana advised the Vanaras, we have nearly reached the destination. Now use all your strength and fight with the demons with stones, rocks, and trees. When you thus kill the army of Indrajit, he himself will appear before us and we can then deal with him easily. And the Vanaras and the demon close in on one another and there was a terrible fighting. The Vanaras fought furiously and most enthusiastically. Therefore, thousands and thousands of the demons fell in the battle. And seeing the destruction of the demon by the Vanaras, Indrajit was agitated. Indrajit was agitated. He came away from the shade of a big tree where he was performing the religious rite, which he had not concluded. The thing is that if he had concluded, it will not be easy to defeat him. In fact, he can defeat anybody if he is able to complete that yajna. But somehow, based on providence or destiny, Indrajit was not able to complete the yajna. So Indrajit ascended his chariot, his aircraft, and demanded the driver to take him to where Hanuman was, eager as he was to kill him. The demon too, who were with energy, attacked Hanuman with variety of weapon and missile. But Hanuman stood unaffected by them. Indrajit himself saw Hanuman standing like a mountain on the battlefield. With great anger, he shot several missiles at Hanuman, but Hanuman did not wince. He said to Indrajit, "Fight me if you are a hero, O Indrajit. Having come near me, you will not return alive." At the same time, Vibhishana drew Lakshmana's attention to the demon Indrajit and said, "He wants to kill Hanuman. Before he does so, you should engage him in a battle and kill him yourself." Say, you learn in Sundarakandam. In Sundarakandam, there was a battle between Indrajit and Hanuman. After Hanuman met Sita, created confidence in Sita, giving the ring of Rama to Sita, okay, and reassuring Sita that Rama will come. What Hanuman did, he wanted to meet Ravana. So he destroyed Ashokavana, the trees in Ashokavana. So Ravana sent many demons, many, even he sent his son Akshakumara. Akshakumara was killed by Hanuman. He sent many of them were defeated by Hanuman. And then last resort, Indrajit was sent by Ravana to kill Hanuman. But Indrajit knew at that time he was not able to kill Hanuman because both of them were fighting. None of them can kill each other. So Indrajit thought the only way Hanuman can be captured. So he used Brahmastra to bind Hanuman. So Hanuman allowed himself to be born by Brahmastra, if you are able to remember from Sundarakanda. And the Vanaras, not the Vanara, the Hanuman, due to the time by the demons, the Brahmastra was released from Hanuman. So Hanuman was not affected at all by Brahmastra. Indrajit also knew that. Hanuman also knew, but he was quiet and he went and he met Ravana. And of course, we learned that in Sundarakandam. So there is no possibility where Indrajit will be able to kill Hanuman because he had opportunity earlier, he was not able to do so. Even when he released many astras, even Rama, Lakshmana, Sugriva, all were wounded, was unconscious, but we learned from previous chapter that Hanuman was not affected. Vibhishana was also not affected. So here Vibhishana is requesting Lakshmana to go and engage battle with Indrajit and to kill Indrajit. And Vibhishana guided Lakshmana to the place where Indrajit was and where he had commenced the sacred rites at Nikumbila. Vibhishana said to Lakshmana, if Indrajit concludes this, he will be invisible and he can then destroy everyone. Kill him before that. Lakshmana went forth towards the demon and invited him for a duel. Indrajit saw Lakshmana and also saw Vibhishana standing near him. And Indrajit, addressing Vibhishana, said, "What a shame. You are one of us, yet you are on the enemy side. You have completely lost all the sense of kingship and right judgment. Beware, he who abandons his own people and serves the enemy will, by his own people, he who abandons his own people and serves the enemy will, once his own people have been eliminated, be destroyed by the enemy. Disgraceful indeed is the way in which you have betrayed us." So there was a question people asked, many people asked this question: is Vibhishana, a traitor. Is he a traitor? So in a history of world, there are many cases we learn. Okay, many script, not only scriptures in the Sanatana Dharma, in the there are many. If you learn, there are many who takes even in war. There are many even today taking place. So in the case of Vibhishana, is he considered to be a traitor? So this has been answered well by various scholars. Okay, and answer to this I have shared in the WhatsApp group in an article written by Sri Harikrishnan, who wrote about Kumbhakarna and also Indrajit. You remember, if you some of the pages are very long. Some of the pages are close to 100 over. In fact, if I'm able to recall, the Sita's analysis of character of Sita was close to 500 pages. It was close to 500 pages. Anybody really interested to know more about the character analysis, you can do that. You can read that. I think I've shared quite a number of character. Let me know if there are characters which I have not. The one I think I have, mostly I have shared, the one that has been written by Hare Krishnan. So please read the character analysis of Indrajit and also Kumbhakarna. So Kumbhakarna also had dharma. He has his own dharma. Ramayana narrates a scenario whereby Indrajit and Kumbhakarna will be communicating when Kumbhakarna enters into the battlefield. So Kumbhakarna, not Indrajit, sorry. Vibhishana and Kumbhakarna will be conversing about dharma. Okay, what is dharma? For Vibhishana, he will be narrating dharma from his side, and Kumbhakarna will be narrating dharma from his side. So many of you who are familiar with the Mahabharata will also know Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu, who's one of the Kauravas. Yuyutsu is a son of Dhritarashtra, but not through Gandhari, through a Vaishya woman. Okay, of course, Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu moved into the Pandava side because he finds there is a dharma on his side. Before the commencement of the war, Yudhishthira declared, whoever feels that the dharma on the side, this side, they can come to this side, or if the dharma is not on this side, they can go to the other side, to the Kaurava side. No one from Pandava side went to the Kaurava side, but Yuyutsu from Kaurava moved towards the Pandava side. And you also have one of the brother of Duryodhana called Vikarna. So the character of Vikarna in the Mahabharata is similar to the character of Kumbhakarna in Ramayana. And the character of Yuyutsu in the Mahabharata is also similar to the character of Vibhishana in the Ramayana. So read the character analysis. Okay, character analysis beautifully narrated by the writer, the author, Sri Hare Krishnan, from two sources. One is Valmiki Ramayana. The other one is Kamba Ramayana, Sri Rama Avadaram from Kamba Ramayana. Two versions of Ramayana he has compared. He looked at the character analysis. Okay. So here, Vibhishana replied to Indrajit. Vibhishana replied to Indrajit, though I am born in your race, I never shared your nature. I am opposed to adharma, unrighteousness. One attains to happiness by abandoning the kingship of one who is unrighteous and who is bent on evil. Your father is cruel. He tormented noble sages, and he seeks to seduce another's wife. After all, he himself drew me out of his court and his kingdom. Well, O Indrajit, your end is near. Okay, these are actually summary. More detail you can read from the chapter itself. Vibhishana tells his nature, Shwabhava. One Shwabhava, that's what you call, you are looking into the nature. Everyone has their own nature, personality, and what determines personality. There is a model called BMI model by Chinmayananda. Some of you, if you do a Google search, you know BMI model. BMI model, where looking into body, mind, and intellect. How these are determined based on the vasanas. Vasanas can be taken from your previous birth. One birth from the previous vasana can carry into the current birth too. This is mentioned not only you find in the Bhagavad Gita, not giving you in that detail, but if you go into Bhagavata Purana, book 4, Kapila's instructions to devotee about trials of Jiva and all that, very details are mentioned that. Uh, Many other Puranas also mentions that you know about this. Nature is about the nature. Vibhishana, it is also one this destiny of the Vibhishana. Okay, that also one of the boon given by Vaishrava to Kaikasi. Only one of the son will go into the path of Dharma. And by nature, when Vibhishana did the tapasya, after Brahma was happy with the tapasya of Vibhishana, which is mentioned in the Uttarakanda of Srimad Valmiki Ramayana, he, what did he ask? He asked his mind to be always devoted to Narayana, to Vishnu, not to swear from part of Dharma, part of Dharma, always be in a part of Dharma. In fact, you will also recall in Aranyakandam, when Surpanaka introduced herself to Rama, she gave an introduction about herself, who her brother was, that is the brother Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and then when she mentioned about Vibhishana, she said, Vibhishana, the only one who is different from the rest. She mentioned that Vibhishana is a Dharmatma, somebody who follows the path of Dharma. So here Vibhishana replied to Indrajit, your father is cruel. He tormented noble sages and he seeks to seduce another's wife. Above all, he himself threw me out of this court and his kingdom. So he is telling Indrajit, your end is near. You are fighting with Lakshmana. Then Indrajit said to Lakshmana, oh Lakshmana, you will taste my power and strength today once again. Do you not remember that it was just the other day that both you and Rama were rendered unconscious by my missile? Today I shall complete the work. So earlier when Indrajit released the missile of Nagastra, he released Nagastra. Rama and Lakshmana was born by the sons of Kadru. Sons of Kadru are the serpents. Kashyapa Muni has two wives. One is Kadru, the other one is Vinata. From Vinata, all the birds were born. From Kadru, all the snakes were born. So the son of Kadru have born Rama and Lakshmana. Only when Garuda came, all the serpents left, and Rama and Lakshmana came back, where they became conscious. So Lakshmana said to Indrajit, do not boast, O hero, but show your might in action. Remaining hidden from you, you injured us. To remain hidden and fight is not the work of a hero, but of a thief. Here I am, standing close to you. Shoot. This is what mentioned by Lakshmana. And Indrajit, enraged by this taunt, let loose a number of missiles. Lakshmana was severely wounded. He returned the fire. The fight between the two heroes was hair-raising to watch. At that time, Vibhishana saw Indrajit's face was a bit pale and said to Lakshmana, the demon is becoming fatigued. Attack vigorously now. Lakshmana used his missile with good effect. Indrajit was shaken a bit, but his anger revived his strength, and Indrajit shot 7 missiles at Lakshmana, 10 at Hanuman, and 100 missiles at Vibhishana. Unmindful of his devastating attack, Lakshmana aimed his missile at Indrajit. With them he shattered the demons among. Wounded and bleeding, Indrajit fought on. The fight between the two mighty warriors continued unabated. It was of unprecedented magnitude. A considerable time went by, but the two heroes neither retreated nor did they show that they were tired. So the battle was going on between Lakshmana and Indrajit. And most of the time, not only in the war, in Ramayana, we also learn in the wars that took place in Mahabharata, the Kurukshetra war. Even in Ramayana, the wars were witnessed by many. The Devas were witnessing the war, including Indra. All the gods and demigods were witnessing the war that are taking place. Not only the war between Rama and Ravana, but all the wars. They were above, they were witnessing what is happening. Okay, because they all want Indrajit to be killed. They all want Ravana to be killed. Remember, in chapter 15, chapter 16, Balakandam, they all surrendered to Narayana because of the havoc that was created by Ravana. They want Ravana to be killed. Only a human being, only a human or a Vanara, human can kill Ravana because his boon that he obtained from Brahma do not have immunity from humans and also Vanaras. Okay, that is the reason why Lord came in form of Rama, and the Devas all came in form of Vanaras. They all came in the form of Vanaras. So, wishing to help Lakshmana to end Indrajit, Vibhishana exhorted the Vanaras. Why are you standing and watching the duel, O Vanaras? This Indrajit is the only remaining support of Ravana. His death is the death of Ravana himself. In fact, I could myself kill Indrajit, but he is my nephew. And when I approach him, I feel sorry for him. All of you get together and kill his helpers so that he can be killed easily. So the Vanaras fell violently upon the demons. They started attacking the demons. But the demons retaliated and attacked the mighty Jambavan. Indrajit fought with Vibhishana and also Lakshmana. The action was so fast that no one could see them firing at one another. Later, the sun set and the darkness began to envelop the world. Lakshmana shot the chariot of Indrajit. With another missile, he beheaded the driver of Indrajit's chariot. Undoubted, Indrajit drove his own chariot while yet fighting. The Vanara heroes, however, pounced upon Indrajit's chariot, the chariot, and silenced the horses of Indrajit's chariot. The demon, the clever demon, exhorted his army to keep fighting even more furiously than before. And while they were doing so, he quietly slipped into Lanka to get another chariot for himself. So Indrajit changed his chariots. Once again, a fierce duel took place between Indrajit and Lakshmana. Lakshmana knocked Indrajit's weapon down. Lakshmana also hit Indrajit on his chest and severely wounded him. Indrajit returned the fire. Lakshmana sent missiles on the demon and on Indrajit too. Once again, he killed the demon's driver. But Indrajit did not mind because the horses of the new chariot could function without a driver. All the missiles that Indrajit aimed at Lakshmana seems to strike the latter and fall down. Indrajit also shot Vibhishana at the same time. And Vibhishana, wielding his mace, killed the demon's horses. Enraged at this, Indrajit hurled a javelin at Vibhishana, which Lakshmana successfully intercepted. So the fight between Indrajit and Lakshmana continues. Both Lakshmana and Indrajit began using powerful missiles at each other. Lakshmana intercepted Indrajit missiles in air and neutralized them. Both missiles fell on earth. So you see, astras, science of astras has been described here. In Mahabharata also you will be learning about a lot of astras being used. In Adi Parva we learn astras being taught to the in the Gurukulas, and then the various astras you need to know how to neutralize the astras. Agni astras can be neutralized through Varuna astras. Then you have what they call Naga astra through Garuda astra. So many astras were used. So Lakshmana answered Indrajit missiles with counter missiles, and he diverted the demon's missiles with his own sun missiles. Fire missiles, he used sun missiles. Finally, taking a missile of Indrastra, Lakshmana said, now what Lakshmana said, if Rama is devoted to Dharma and truth, let this end Indrajit's life. So when Lakshmana released the Indra Astra, that missile cut off the head of Indrajit, which fell on the battlefield. And the demon fled, and Vanaras celebrated the event. Now in chapter 90, Indrajit has been slain. So who remains? Ravana remains. But the Indrajit is not someone who is easily slain. See, you will learn that when the sages came to meet Rama after his coronation in Uttarakanda of Ramayana, they were not bothered about killing of Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and all the other demons. So they were very happy when Indrajit was killed. So Rama will ask, why do you consider killing of the Indrajit is more important than killing of Ravana or even Kumbhakarna? So then, of course, the sages will narrate the history of Indrajit, how he became very powerful. So this is described in Uttarakanda of Ramayana. So in some of the notes on chapter 19 about Indrajit, I'm going to provide. Some are from Ramayana of Valmiki, but some are not from Valmiki Ramayana, but there are other sources that is from the regional sources of Valmiki Ramayana, which is regional sources of Ramayana, which have taken from Valmiki Ramayana, but they have added their own versions to it. So who is Indrajit? Indrajit was born as Meghanathan. His name given to him was Meghanathan. He is the eldest son of Ravana and Mandodari. Of course, the other sons are Akshaya, Trishara, Devantaka, Narantakan. When Indrajit was born, his cry was like a thunder. So he was called Meghanada. Mega means cloud, and Nada, sound. He fought Indra, king of Devas, and defeated him. For this, he came to be known as Indrajit. Indrajit is a title given to Meghanada. Just like title given to Ravana. Ravana, Dasanan. Dasagriva, Dasanan became Ravana. Title given to him. So the title Indrajit, the title is one who have conquered Indra. Indrajit, after his victory, he goes to conquer other worlds. So it is said that he reached Nagaloka, and in Nagaloka, he fought with Vasuki, the king of Nagas, and defeated him. So when Vasuki was defeated, he cursed Indrajit, that his elder brother, Seshanaga, Adi Sesha, will come and kill him. So to counter the curse, Indrajit married Seshanaga's daughter, that is called Sulochana. Sulochana, sometimes There is also long ago there's a movie on Sulochana. That's a character of Sulochana, how she tried her level best to protect Indrajit from Meghanada from not being killed by Lakshmana. Okay, Sulochana, thinking Seshanaga will not kill his own son-in-law. But Seshanaga promised to kill Indrajit anyhow, anytime. Okay. So Indrajit told Seshanaga, nobody can kill me. Only one who will not sleep for 12 years and will be a brahmachari for that period of time can kill me. So Seshanaga came as Lakshmana who killed Indrajit without sleeping for 12 years and taking brahmacharya vrata for the same time. But this is not narrated in Valmiki Ramayana. So you can find this in the regional versions of Valmiki Ramayana, many regional versions. As I said, story of Rama, it is impossible to keep an account of story of Rama. There are many stories of Rama, many versions of Ramayana. Of course, Valmiki Ramayana is the original. Then, of course, you have the other from the devotional angle. We have Tulsi Ramayana, Ramcharitmanas, Kamba Ramayana, beautiful Ramayana written in poetic Tamil, no? Kamba Ramayana, Elutachan's Ramayana, Adhyatma Ramayana, Ranganada Ramayana, Krittivasa Ramayana, many other Ramayanas you see. Many Ramayana have evolved, have gone through many versions. So you find that in other regional versions. Another thing about Indrajit is he was a great devotee of Kali, and he always performs rituals and sacrifice inside Nikumbila hill before any battle. So when he performs sacrifice inside Nikumbila hill and he goes to the battle, nobody can defeat him. He will be unstoppable in battle. And Sulochana, his wife, a Naga, okay, and through her, Indrajit obtained the mastery of Naga weapons from her, and he used that to tie Rama and Lakshmana with the same Naga weapon. Of course, we learn later Garuda came and rescued Rama and Lakshmana. And of course, he had a boon from Brahma that he can only be killed by a warrior who had lived a saintly life and won over sleep, won over Nidra Devi. Thus, Lakshmana was one who was able to kill him. And he led a saintly life for 12 years straight and not slept for 12 straight years too. But this is not in Valmiki Ramayana. Because there was one incident in Valmiki Ramayana I'm able to recall in Ayutthaya Kanda, towards the end of Ayutthaya Kanda, Lakshmana will be sleeping there. Rama will be the one who will go and will be waking up Lakshmana. But I am not able to find in Aranya Kanda, but I'm able to recall there is a sloka in Ayutthaya Kanda. That is why I said it's not mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. These are regional versions. There are also regional versions that mentions that Nidra Devi came, when Nidra Devi came to Lakshmana, Lakshmana requested Nidra Devi to go to Urmila, his wife, and request Urmila to take his sleep on behalf of Lakshmana, so that it was said that Urmila was sleepy. Urmila slept for what they call Lakshmana. And that is also, there is a saying that when during the coronation of Rama, Lakshmana was not able to remain. So, but it is not in Valmiki Ramayana. It is there in other regional version of Ramayana. Okay, this is something about additional about Indrajit. So Indrajit, further information about Indrajit is that he imprisoned Brahma and brought him as a prisoner before Ravana to Lanka. And upon request of Brahma, Indrajit released Indra. And Indrajit asked for a boon of immortality for setting Indra free, but it was rejected by Brahma. However, after he gave the boon that as long as he goes to the battle performing sacrifice in Nikumbila, he will be undefeated. That is why it was not something that is easy to defeat Indrajit. Indrajit was a very powerful warrior. So chapter 91, Lakshmana, Hanuman, Indrajit and Jambavan and the chiefs of Vanara army go to Rama and tell him that Indrajit has been slain by Lakshmana. And Rama is extremely happy when he hears that and appalls Lakshmana, saying that with the slaying of Indrajit, who is like Ravana's right hand, the battle is all but won. That he would slay Ravana once he comes out with all his forces. And then Rama requested Susena to treat Lakshmana, Vibhishana, and others would. Susena heals everyone with powerful herbs. Everybody is happy, relief of their wounds and pain. In Valmiki Ramayana, Susena is a Vanara. In Ramcharitmanas, Susena is a doctor of Ravana. Ravana's family doctor, Susena, is a Rakshasa. But in Valmiki Ramayana, Susena, there is a this Susena is a Vanara. So for Ravana, upon hearing Indrajit has been slain, he fainted. Regaining his consciousness, he lamented, "Oh Indrajit, you have terrorized the gods, Indra, and even Yama himself. How is it that you have preceded me instead of performing my final rites first? But surely you have gone to the highest heaven to which they who lay their lives in a cause of master ascend. This is a part of all noble warriors. All noble warriors who fought the battle goes to heaven. Here is Shwarga. This is what Krishna also was mentioning to Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita, he mentions. He mentions in chapter 2 and several other chapters, he keeps reminding him. Today, the gods, the ascetics, and brahmanas will sleep well. But today, whole world appears bleak to me. Ravana was disappointed. So Ravana was completely overcome by terrible anger. He thought, I still have the terrible weapon that I obtained from Creator Brahma. It I shall kill Rama and Lakshmana and all the warriors. He also thought, my beloved son Indrajit played a trick on Vanara. For this purpose, he killed an illusionary form of Sita. I shall now turn that into a fact. I shall kill Sita. So he picked up his terrible sword and he rushed to Ashokavana. The demons, yelling with joy, followed him. His wife and also his ministers followed him to Ashokavana. Seeing Ravana approach her angrily, sword in hand, Sita was worried and puzzled. Is he coming to kill me? Or has he killed Rama and Lakshmana? What may be the cause of the shout of joy I heard from the demons? So here, Sita, this is just like a human expression. Valmiki is giving a human expression. Many times, Valmiki beautifully, because you have to know that when Brahma gave the boon to Valmiki, that he will be able to see, he will be able to hear, he will be able to even know what the other people are thinking, what they have in their mind. Everything will be shown to Valmiki as he reflected. So here many times you find what Sita was thinking, what Hanuman was thinking, what is in their mind, all can be narrated by, all can be reported by Valmiki. So here, when Ravana was coming with a sword, Sita was thinking she did a foolish thing. In her mind, she was thinking, I did a foolish thing, not accepting Hanuman's offer to take me to Ravana. So at that time, in Sutarakanda, if you are able to recall that, When Hanuman offered to take Sita back to Rama, Sita refused. He said that will not give glory to Rama. Even you carry, Rakshasa will pursue. Of course, you will be able to fight with them. I might fall into the ocean. And then she also said, I do not want to touch the body of another man other than Rama. So Sita did not accept the offer. Huh? Here, he's reflecting. I did a foolish thing in not accepting Hanuman's offer to take me away to Rama. And then divining Ravana's intention, one of his ministers, Suparshva, said to Ravana, there are some ministers, Suparshva, Prahasta earlier, did remind Ravana, did advise Ravana, including Kumbhakarna, Vibhishana. Vibhishana tried many times. I think in the 3 or 4 occasions, Vibhishana told Ravana, but finally, as Ravana himself insulted Vibhishana and Vibhishana left and then surrendered to Rama. Vibhishana Saranagati, remember chapter 18 in the chapter 18 of the Yuddha Khandam, verse 32, 33, chapter 18. Sakrudeva Prapannaya Tavashmiti Chavaya Chayachate Apayam Sarvabhutevyo Dhanamyeta Pratamama, that famous sloka, Vibhishana Saranagati. Vibhishana, Suparshva, other ministers did mention, okay, but yet Ravana did not listen. So here, Suparshva telling Ravana, O king, please do not yield to anger and commit this crime. Killing a woman is entirely unworthy of your greatness. So Ravana is a great personality, but not a good personality. Hanuman himself said, great but not good. Greatness without goodness is nothing. Okay? You have fulfilled all your vows of a Brahmana of Vedic learning. Brahmana is someone who knows the Vedas. He's an expert in the Samagana. You are devoted to your own duties. How then do you contemplate the killing of a woman? Turn your anger on Rama and you will kill him without doubt. And then you can make Sita your consort. Ravana then cooled down and accepted the minister's counsel. So that's the end of chapter 92 of Kanda Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. Next week will be Ravana Vadam. There will be a war, battle between Rama and Ravana. Agastya will come. Okay, this worship of sun will also be narrated. That will be in chapter 105. So we're going to look at for the next session. Next session will be a 30th session. After next session, we will have 2 more. Next session is Ravana will be slain, Ravana Vadam. And then after that will be Sita's Agni Pariksha. And then after that, the last session will be Pattabhisheka. At least for Pattabhisheka, hope everybody joins in the session. So even if they have not followed the earlier part, the last session, Pattabhisheka, is very auspicious to read. And there are people who read regularly, Pattabhisheka of Rama. That will be on the 32, session 32. That will be next month. So next week, we are going to look into Ravana Vadam. Okay, so we have completed session 29 of Srimad Valmiki Ramayanam. I think within the time, I think I've done it faster today, within 1 hour, 45 minutes. So if you have question, I think I can take the questions in the chat. Maybe I will give the answer. If there are any questions, I will send it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, anybody have any questions, you can just write down in the chat. Okay, I will take it up and I will answer and then give it to you. Okay, as usual, every session you will have something to learn, something that you can put in your lessons from each and every sessions. Okay, so we're going to conclude session 29. Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Ramanama Varaname. Thank you to everybody.